Ladies and gents, welcome to Six Figs. I'm Kyle. In today's video, we've got an absolute jawbreaker for you. DGen News, everything you could ever ask for. Thank me later. Dropped a poll this morning on Twitter, on X. So hit me up at Real6Fig if you're on X. I'd love to see ya. 40 to 50 years in prison for SBF. Is that enough? He should get less prison time, just the right amount, or does he need more prison time? Now, I am on the same boat as everybody, saying that he needs more prison time. And Strika, longtime friend of mine, says pretty sure there's people not alive anymore because of what he did, so not enough. And yes, I absolutely agree. There was a lady, and I was just talking with BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong, when I was meeting up with him in Las Vegas for some business about a week and a half ago. And basically, we were kind of talking about Sam's sentence and, what we thought was fair and what wasn't. But I was telling him, I said, there was one lady who was emailing me that just kind of fell off the face of the earth. She was in a very bad spot mentally, financially, and it would have been, I don't know what the deal was, but I remember I sent a couple follow-up emails and never got a response. So when it comes down to like all this stuff like FTX, Sam Bankman Fried, like he caused the deaths of a lot of people that would probably still be here today. He caused immense pressure and stress on people still to this day since FTX collapsed that basically practice irresponsible investing, taking out loans, trying to hit it out of the park. Obviously, all their money that was wrapped up into FTT is basically dissolved. And so the deal is that, there is impact on a lot of these people still to this day, and there will be impact on these people trying to pay back these loans and things like that if they don't file bankruptcy for decades, possibly, financially ruining people. Like it doesn't get any worse than that. So his legal team is saying that they're asking for 63 to 78 months. Man, that's a slap in the face to everybody that got impacted by Sam Bankman. You guys have to remember that it wasn't just FTX that collapsed, guys. FTX was the culprit, the catalyst that caused a lot of other things to go down. Celsius, triggered by FTX. Three Arrows Capital, triggered by FTX. Voyager, triggered by FTX. And there's so many other projects. ICP, Ronin Network, Reef Finance, New Genesis, and a whole shitload of other projects that got absolutely hosed. This guy did a lot more damage than the few $1 billion that he's being charged with at FTX. If I had to take a guess, all the fraud and stuff like that going on behind the scenes at FTX, basically force liquidating customers and things like that through their God mode trading privileges, I would say that the fraud is actually probably in the hundreds of billions, possibly. So to request 63 to 78 months, you know what? They should tack that time onto his sentence, just for suggesting. They should tack that on extra to that 50 years. So it is what it is. Speaking of Three Arrows Capital, Kyle Davies says he is unapologetic about the collapse of 3AC, Three Arrows Capital, which Voyager Exchange basically loaned like $500 million to during the peak of the bull run. And guess what? 3AC lost it all. There was a lot of things that FTX was doing, and they knew about 3AC's finances, and they knew kind of like their weaknesses and stuff like that. So it is what it is. These guys they should be in jail. They should be in prison for more than 4 months. But I think it was Su basically had been hiding, but there was basically a prison sentence that. Let's see. Davies claimed he is currently in Europe and would not return to Singapore immediately to avoid serving a 4-month prison sentence. I mean, if I was Kyle Davies, I would just never go to Singapore again. God forbid that you're on a flight over to Asia somewhere and there's some sort of emergency and they have to divert to Singapore. I think you'll be screwed then. But Cinkus, baby, Cinkus. Cinkus is a very interesting project, people. And I've been talking about Cinkus now for the last 2 months. And Cinkus, folks, it's like this reverse Ponzi scheme style project, and it's very interesting. I did a video on it, and I will link to that at the end screens. But so far, I've made 14 grand off this since my original video, or the first time I mentioned it, the price was at 0.0035. Now the price is at 0.0265. So since I first mentioned this thing, this thing has gone up approximately 600 and some odd percent, but it did go up 2,000%. We'll get into this because I think there could be some more gas left in the tank. I'm not sponsored by Cinkus or anything. This is like my meme coin play. But I wanted to mention this because it's going to start trading on Gate.io on March 20th, which is somewhere right at the time I'm making this video. And it's going to also start trading on BitGet March 21st, which is tomorrow. So we're going to have 2 more income flows into the price of Cinkus. There might even be some opportunities for arbitrage early on with this as well. So crypto markets are absolutely banging. Looks like the Fed, of course, my screen is all screwed up right now, but I think what happened was the Fed decided to keep interest rates where they were at. So let's see if this loads. Okay, look at that. CKB up 14%. Let's look at the top 100. It's just a sea of green. I love to see this. And really, when it comes down to it, we're going to talk about something, especially if you're new to crypto, or maybe if you are experienced crypto trader but might not realize some of the mental tests that these whales and institutions will put you through. The last shakeout that just happened, I'm not saying that the bull run's back on, but that last shakeout the last couple of weeks has been wicked. So Federal Reserve maintains the rates, so they stayed put. So with that said, people don't have to worry, things like that. I am hoping that when they cut the rates, we're going to see some really dramatic price action within the markets. So this is Cinkus, folks, and I've been talking about Cinkus. It's on MEXC right now. It'll be on BitGet and Bybit, I think, or Gate.io. You just got to make sure that you buy the right Cinkus, because there's another token called Synchrony, and you don't want to buy that one. But I know that Cinkus DAO, basically it is on Uniswap as well. So with that said, you guys can kind of see on Uniswap, we had a very nice textbook falling wedge that did kind of play out here. So with that said, there might have been a little bit of a test here, and now we are seeing price escalate to the upside. Now, I want to just look at the MEXC Cinkus charts, because that is my primary method for buying and selling Cinkus right now, but Uniswap is available. If you use Uniswap, there is a 15% gas tax, so keep that in mind. With that said, there's a couple things that I'm kind of looking at right now, and really when it comes down to it, I'm just going to delete this inverse head and shoulders. But there is kind of like this cup and handle that I've been kind of tracking here. And the rule of thumb with the cup and handle is that you always kind of measure from the top of the cup or the rim down to like the bottom of the cup. So like something like this, for example. And then basically you can stack this right on top of the low. And you guys can see like it's at 2.5 cents right now. You know, $1 might be in the mix for future price tags. When we look at Cinkus, though, I want to just pull up Cinkus on the charts because we need to do some calculation to see if this is even a plausible number for Cinkus to reach. So right now we're at a market cap of $108 million. So basically $1 billion market cap would put Cinkus at 25 cents. So we would need a $4 billion market cap. Okay, we need to hit 500 million first, a billion. But if we hit that billion, we could even maybe see this 25 cent-ish area. So I do think that it's within reach, possibly. This isn't financial or trading advice. I want you guys to understand that this is a very volatile meme coin, and it's going to wipe you out if you try to mess with it, possibly. So I am already up. I am playing with a moon bag for Cinkus right now. Like I said, I'm up 14 grand on it. I think I've got like 4K left in it. I took like 10K profits. But let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has really started to take off here, and you can see that this candle over the last 4 hours has grown from 64 all the way up to 68,000. So it's going to be very interesting to see what does occur here, and it does look like there was some very fine Elliott wave theory to the upside, and it looks like there was an ABCDE corrective wave that played out. Now, this doesn't mean that the correction's still over. We need to see price kind of hop through this 50 moving average, and I do think that there is a chance, that could possibly happen. But if price gets stalled out, there is a few other things that I am kind of looking at for Bitcoin, folks. And we'll get on to ICP and maybe CKB here in just a second. But weeks and weeks ago, I mentioned to everybody on X, that's why you guys need to follow me on X at Real6Fig, that this could be a potential for Bitcoin. Right now, in my opinion, price is still too far out from this Ichimoku cloud. I'm hoping that we see price go way up. But when it comes down to it, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some sideways movement or something like this occur, and wait for this 50 moving average to kind of get closer to this price. And once that happens, it might not be till May, June, or July that we see this thing start pumping again. I could see with these rates being held, okay, maybe price will stay put. If the rates get cut, it's going to be like a little Sidewinder missile flying at you. So we still have to wait and see what's going on with Bitcoin right now. This is, the perpetual futures chart. But what I want to just show you guys is we'll go to the Binance chart and we'll just look at the traditional Bitcoin chart here. Really, when it comes down to it, I want to look at last bull run. And when I was talking to you guys about some of the mental stuff that goes on with crypto trading, whether you're new or not, from this bottom back in 2022 of 15K, basically, actually, let's go go back to the 2021. This is where I want to go. From this bottom of 3,000 back in February, March of 2020, you can kind of see how many retracements there were. I mean, it's like a sawtooth blade, and it just, it climbs, retraces, climbs, retraces, dumps, climb. You guys can see how many times this happens. And I mean, we're seeing price fluctuations of, anywhere from 15% up to like 30% on a good day. There's another 17. But here's an example. Let's see here. 30%. So, I mean, 15 to 30% swings are very common in the bull market. And you guys can see how it still goes on to make new all-time highs. So it is what it is. We saw Bitcoin in the last cycle even make a 50% retracement and then go on to make new all-time highs. So it's just this game of flushing out retail over and over again. And eventually it's kind of like roulette. How many of these little staircases are you going to climb before you take profits, folks? And that is why you need to have an absolute plan on what exactly is going on, what you're going to do with your plan. Are you going to take profits? Are you going to, at what price tags? Are you going to start seeking profits? Things like that. With the FOMC meeting today, we were charted up for a very nice Gartley harmonic pattern, which is bearish for the most part. I was very pleased to see that this thing reversed on that news. So if the news would have been bad, like they're raising rates or something, I think we would have seen CKB kind of run down here and probably lower. But right now for CKB, folks, we are seeing some very nice stuff. I'm just going to clear all of this. And you can see right now for CKB, and I mentioned this in the last few videos, but there's a very clear, and this looks like some male anatomy, but I can assure you this is a head and shoulders pattern, folks. But what we have here is an inverse head and shoulders. And so I do think that right now there's a chance for CKB to kind of come right back up to this 2.5 cent level based off these measurements and calculations. So this could further do a couple things. Now I am looking for kind of two things to happen at this point. If we see CKB, if we see CKB kind of return back to these recent local all-time highs, there could be a nice cup and handle that forms, and then it's off to the races, something like this. We could be at the beginning stages for CKB to really start ripping some sort of ascending triangle or something like this. So I would like to see personally an ascending triangle. I'll take the cup and handle, but I would like to see CKB do one of these things and then move to the upside. So right now my price target for CKB is 2.5 cents. If it breaks it to 2.026 or 0.027, that's fine and dandy. So we're just going to have to make sure we don't get any rising wedges or anything like that out of this. That is my big concern with CKB. Now on to ICP. ICP has been absolutely dogging it. Man, I've seen my bag in ICP just plummet. But ICP is still kind of in this ascending triangle that, like I was just mentioning with CKB, could possibly be a possibility. So I'm hoping that we start to see the ICP kind of fade out like this and maybe pull off some sort of ascending triangle to propel it up into those $20 and $30 price tags. So I do believe that ICP is still sitting good. I mean, technically, folks, this thing's been sitting good since October of 2023. We've got a beautiful bull flagpole, a beautiful pennant or flag forming, and I do think, like, if this is Elliott wave theory here, by design of Elliott wave theory, we would have to see wave 2 to 3 be higher than wave 0 to 1, and I'll show you guys kind of what it is that I'm talking about. So let's just say that this is wave 0 to 1, and here's 2 to 3, 4 to 5. So let's just say it's like something like this. By default, wave 2 to 3 cannot be the smallest wave, or it cannot be smaller than 0 to 1. So by default, we would need to see this wave 2 to 3 kind of rip up to like this $53-ish level, which gets me very excited about ICP. So yeah, right now it just is what it is. The markets are kind of just seeming a little bit more bullish than they have the last week and a half. It's obvious why, because of this FOMC, things like that. But feel free, guys, to check out this video at the end screen that I did on Cinkus. It's like a casino playing these meme games, guys. So always be prepared to lose your money and only practice what only basically invest what you can afford to lose. I think, I'm not financial advisor or anything like that. The crypto game is a huge risk, but there are huge rewards if you can play these this game of chess right. So check out this video. We'll see you guys all on the next video. I'll probably have another video out Friday, I'm thinking. Gonna take the day off tomorrow. Peace. I knew what I knew and how FTX is crooked and washing out exchanges. Protect Sam's investments and FTX and Alameda's investments, primarily in the Solana, ecosystem. But when it comes to Celsius, I had nothing concrete. It was just rumors. But you have something to talk about with that.
The Celsius crash, FTX and Alameda. The large percentage of the trades on FTX were fake.